The old Victorian house stood tall and imposing, its silhouette stark against the twilight sky. Hannah parked her car in the driveway, its gravel crunching under the wheels. A lone street lamp cast long, dancing shadows across the overgrown lawn. Taking a deep breath, Hannah picked up a box from the passenger seat. This was it, a fresh start, a chance to heal after her husband's passing. The air inside the house was stale and thick with dust. Moonlight filtered through the grimy windows, illuminating patches of the hardwood floor. Hannah wandered from room to room, each one echoing with emptiness. She stopped in the living room, its large bay window overlooking the street. This house held a strange energy, a palpable silence that was both comforting and unsettling. Boxes piled up around her filled with memories and a life that felt both distant and painfully recent. As the night deepened, Hannah felt a chill run down her spine, a prickling sensation at the back of her neck. She dismissed it as nerves. Moving to a new place was always unsettling, but something told her deep down that this was different. Days turned into weeks, and the house slowly started to feel like her own. Hannah found solace in unpacking, in arranging furniture, in making the space hers. One evening, as she sat by the fireplace, she heard it, a faint whisper, barely audible, coming from the hallway. She paused, her breath catching in her throat. "Must be the wind," she murmured to herself. The old house creaked and groaned. It was easy to dismiss the sound, but a seed of unease had been planted. The next day, Hannah tried to put the whisper out of her mind. She went about her day, cleaning and unpacking, but the memory of the sound lingered. As evening approached, she grew anxious. The sun dipped below the horizon. Shadows stretched across the room. Hannah sat in the living room, a book in her lap. She couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The whispers returned the following night. This time they were clearer, more insistent. Hannah could have sworn she heard her name, spoken in a hushed, raspy voice. Her heart pounded, her breath coming out in short, shallow gasps. Fear gripped her. She tried to convince herself it was just the wind whistling through the old chimney. But deep down she knew better. This was something different, something profoundly disturbing. Sleep became a luxury she could barely afford. Every creak, every rustle sent jolts of fear through her. One particularly dark and stormy night, the whispers reached a fever pitch. They swirled around her, seeming to emanate from the walls. The voice was clearer now, a guttural rasp that spoke of age and suffering. It spoke of betrayal, of a life unjustly taken, of a secret buried deep within the house. Hannah covered her ears, her body trembling uncontrollably. The house felt alive, pulsating with a malevolent energy. She had to get out to escape the suffocating darkness, but her feet felt rooted to the spot, paralyzed by fear. Driven by a mixture of terror and morbid curiosity, Hannah decided to confront the source of the whispers. She knew deep down that they were leading her somewhere, beckoning her towards a hidden truth. The whispers seemed to intensify around a particular area of the house. The basement door. It was a heavy, wooden door, its paint peeling and faded with age. A rusty padlock hung from the handle, a silent testament to years of neglect. Hannah's hand trembled as she reached for the padlock. It was ice-cold to the touch, as if the metal itself was imbued with the chilling energy that permeated the house. As she fumbled with the lock, a scratching sound came from behind the door. It was a low, rhythmic sound, like claws scraping against wood. Hannah's blood ran cold. The whispers had intensified, swirling around her like a malevolent vortex. They spoke of a life trapped, of a soul forever bound to the house. Mustering all her courage, Hannah broke the padlock. The door creaked open, revealing a set of rickety wooden stairs leading down into darkness. The scratching sound grew louder, accompanied by a low, guttural moan that sent shivers down her spine. Hannah took a deep breath and stepped inside. Section 5. Eleanor's diary. The basement was a damp and musty space, its air thick with the smell of mildew and decay. Cobwebs hung from every corner and dust covered every surface. Hannah cautiously made her way down the stairs, her hand trailing along the rough stone wall. The whispers seemed to press in on her, their intensity suffocating. At the bottom of the stairs, she found a small wooden table with a single flickering candle placed upon it. Next to the candle lay a leather-bound diary, its pages yellowed with age. Curiosity overcoming her fear, Hannah picked up the diary and opened it. The first entry was dated 1888, written in a delicate flowing script. The writer identified herself as Eleanor Graves, the original owner of the house. As Hannah delved deeper into the diary, a tale of love, betrayal and murder began to unfold. Eleanor wrote of her husband, a cruel and jealous man who had accused her of infidelity. Night after night, Eleanor poured her heart out into the diary, documenting her growing fear and desperation. Her husband, consumed by paranoia, had become increasingly controlling and abusive. He had forbidden her from leaving the house, keeping her prisoner within its walls. Section 6. The skeleton in the wall. Hannah's heart pounded as she read Eleanor's final entry. Eleanor described her husband's plan to seal her alive within the basement walls. He accused her of infidelity, bringing shame upon their family. His punishment would be swift and merciless. The diary ended abruptly, the last pages ripped out. Hannah stared at the empty pages, her mind reeling. She noticed a faint scratching sound from the wall behind her. It was the same sound she had heard at the basement door. With trembling hands, Hannah reached for a loose brick. It crumbled, revealing a hollow space behind it. Heart-pounding, Hannah peered into the darkness. There, illuminated by the faint glow of the candle, she saw it. A skeletal hand reached out, its bony fingers curled into a claw. A gasp escaped Hannah's lips, and the diary tumbled from her grasp. This was Eleanor's final resting place, entombed alive by her husband. Section 7. Silence at last. The discovery of Eleanor's remains sent shockwaves through the community. The police were called, and the house, once a sanctuary of peace for Hannah, became a hive of activity. Forensic teams swarmed the basement, their voices a stark contrast to the whispers that had haunted Hannah's nights. As they carefully extracted Eleanor's remains from the wall, a strange sense of peace settled over Hannah. The whispers, once so deafening, had vanished. It was as if Eleanor's spirit, finally freed from its earthly prison, had found solace at last. With the truth revealed and justice, albeit delayed, served, the house fell silent. The days that followed were a blur of police statements, reporters and well-meaning neighbours offering their condolences. Hannah moved through it all in a daze, the events of the past few weeks feeling surreal, like a scene from a horror film. She decided to sell the house, unable to bear the thought of living another day within its walls. The memory of Eleanor, the whispers, the scratching, it was all too much. She needed a fresh start, a place where the past wouldn't follow her home. Section 8. A lingering feeling. The house sold quickly, a young couple eager to start their life together becoming the new owners. As Hannah handed over the keys, she couldn't help but feel a pang of sympathy for them. They were oblivious to the darkness that lingered beneath the surface, to the secrets buried deep within the home's foundations. Driving away from the house for the last time, Hannah glanced at her reflection in the rearview mirror. Her eyes, once filled with hope for a fresh start, now held a weariness that ran deeper than grief. The whispers may have been silenced, but the experience had left an indelible mark on her soul. As she merged onto the highway, the setting sun casting long shadows across the road, she couldn't shake the feeling that a part of her was still tethered to that house, to the secrets it held, and to the ghost of Eleanor Graves. The whispers might be gone, but the unease lingered, a constant reminder of the darkness that lay beneath the surface of even the most ordinary-seeming places. Section 9. Epilogue. The new owners of the Victorian house were unpacking boxes, their laughter echoing through the empty rooms. They were young and in love, oblivious to the history they had inherited along with the deed to the property. In the basement, hidden beneath layers of fresh paint and new drywall, a single brick remained loose. And behind that brick, in the cold, dark space where Eleanor Graves had breathed her last, a faint scratching sound began. It was a low, rhythmic sound like claws scraping against wood, a sound that would continue unheard and unnoticed until it was too late.